It's the universal dream, isn't it? To take that thing you absolutely love, that talent, that passion, that skill you have spent years, maybe decades, perfecting, and actually turn it into a sustainable, thriving, profitable career. We talk to artists, musicians, speakers, and performers all the time. And that transition, moving from being a master of the craft to being a master of the business.
Yeah.
Well, that's where most people falter. Welcome to the Strategy Sync YouTube channel. Please subscribe and like to hear new book summaries. Today, we are undertaking a deep dive into Caroline Ravn's phenomenal book, The Business Side of Show Business. And if you are an entertainer, an artist, or frankly, anyone trying to make a living doing what you love, this is basically the blueprint for financial sustainability.
It really is. And this is not a gentle introduction. Ravn, who built this incredible international career as a full-time performer, she states very clearly that this is the book she desperately wished she had 10 years ago. And the whole reason the book exists is because the conventional wisdom for aspiring pros is it's flawed. It focuses entirely on the wrong metric.
Right. She starts with a statement that should hit every perfectionist right between the eyes. She doesn't pull any punches when she identifies the core problem most struggling entertainers face.
No, not at all. She opens the book with the bluntest truth. You have too many tricks.
There it is. The hard truth. It's the performer's ultimate procrastination trap, isn't it? Spending hours on the next difficult sleight or buying the next shiny prop, convincing yourself that if you just get one more trick, then the success will follow.
Exactly. She estimates that most aspiring entertainers, and this could be magicians, public speakers, musicians, anyone, they have more material, more notes, more unused effects than they will ever deploy in their professional lifetime. The real scarcity in the industry isn't talent, it's not material, and it's certainly not tricks. The real scarcity is a clear business plan. It's a structured approach to sales, a focused strategy, and just the know-how to build a thriving, balanced career.
So she frames the entire mission of this book around that realization. 0% focus on the actual magic or the craft, and 100% focus on the operational and revenue-generating strategies. It's a complete shift in priority from, the creative to the corporate.
It is, and she acknowledges the cost of that shift. I mean, performers spend years and huge amounts of money on conventions, private lectures, props. But if you don't know where the next show is coming from, or how to properly set up your digital toolkit, or how to write a watertight contract, all that technical skill is financially inert. You're a hobbyist who just happens to be very talented.
And the practicality of her system is really underscored by her own success story, which she shares right up front. She wrote the book while literally sitting by the pool at a 5-star hotel in Egypt, reflecting on her successful 10-year professional journey. And her background itself is so interesting. She went to theology school and preached before transitioning to being a full-time entertainer. That journey, moving from an insecure teenager to an international success, it just proves the system she outlines is so actionable.
And that unconventional path, from theology to full-time performer, absolutely required discipline and structure, not just a set of new card techniques. And that discipline is the entire basis of part 1, which is all about establishing your core foundations. Before you even think about chasing bookings, you need to define what you're selling and why.
Okay, let's unpack this core foundation, because Ravn is adamant that you must have your strategic framework set and polished before you go looking for bookings. She says the most common structural flaws she encounters are simple, almost embarrassing things.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible websites using personal or, really old photos, and a complete lack of organized promotional material. The days of waiting for a manager to discover you are long, long gone. You, the performer, have to be the CEO of your own enterprise.
And the first pillar of that foundation is absolute clarity about the product. Ravn admits she started as a generalist, accepting any gig for any price just to be on stage. But true success and high-paying work required specialization. You can't just be a talented person. You need to define your product precisely, as though you were writing a corporate services menu.
And not just define them, but write these precise, powerful 1 to 2 sentence descriptions for every single service. She provides her own list, which is a great checklist for any performer looking to scale. Close-up show, walk-around magic, trade shows, stage shows of all different lengths, cruises, emceeing, public speaking, and even commercials.
And what's so strategically vital here is the decision she made to focus her energy on her core offers, the services she enjoys, does exceptionally well, and that generate the highest return. For Ravn, that meant locking in on emceeing and a highly polished, tight 25-minute stage show. And that strategic narrowing immediately simplifies her marketing copy, her website design, her sales conversations. She's able to pitch her greatest strengths first, rather than confusing the booker with 10 different options.
That distinction, moving from a wide, weak generalist net to a sharp, powerful specialist spear, that must be difficult for a creative person who just wants to do everything. Does she suggest ditching the non-core offers entirely or just kind of demoting them in the sales process?
She suggests demoting them. Yeah, the goal isn't necessarily elimination, but focus. If 80% of your desired revenue comes from 2 core offers, then 80% of your time and your marketing budget should go there. The ultimate advice here, which is actionable for every listener, is to write down your full offer list, explain them concisely, and then circle your 2 core strengths. Because if you don't define your product and its value, the client will define it for you, and usually in a way that minimizes your fee.
Right, which leads immediately to pricing.
Exactly. Clarity on your product leads immediately to clarity on your pricing. Ravn is clear. The primary rule is simple, yet requires a lot of confidence. Set your price based on your skill level and experience, and crucially, on the market value you wish to command, not by guessing the client's budget or trying to undercut the competition. She even treats her price as a living document, changing it annually to reflect her growth and demand.
This is where we often see performers stumble, right? They fear rejection, so they immediately, quote, low. But Ravn offers a really sophisticated technique for maintaining that anchor price. If a client objects to the fee or says they can't meet it, what's the recommended negotiation strategy?
It's highly analytical and so effective. The book advises you stay absolutely firm on the anchor price, but you suggest the client should go up in value by offering high-value non-monetary assets instead of a cash discount. It's a brilliant business negotiation tactic.
Okay, can you elaborate on that? What do those high-value bartered goods look like for a performer?
Absolutely. She lists items that directly feed future income and credibility. Things like high-quality pictures and videos from the event by their professional crew, a mandatory press mention or social media shout-out that you control, maybe inclusion in the company newsletter, or even a guaranteed repeat booking within a certain time frame at the full rate.
So instead of dropping your fee by 50%, which permanently damages your perceived market value, you accept full price, but instead of the cash difference, you take a professional film crew for the night. That not only maintains your financial anchor, but gives you incredible marketing collateral. It's a win-win that doesn't sacrifice long-term value for a short-term sale.
Precisely. You walk away with your fee structure intact, and you've acquired expensive marketing assets that would have cost you thousands to purchase yourself. That is true strategic leverage.
Speaking of marketing assets, Ravn really emphasizes that your visual materials are your most crucial sales tools. If your photos look amateurish, the client will unconsciously assume your performance quality is equally low. It's that first impression that seals the deal or throws it out.
And she spends time calling out this notorious error she calls the headshot trap. You know the one? That's the photo where the performer looks terrified and surprised, maybe awkwardly pointing at a deck of cards or a prop. The focus should not be on the prop or the trick. It has to be on projecting the energy, the charm, and the professional confidence that you promised to deliver at the event. It needs to sell the experience.
And we need variety, right? It's not one photo for all markets. What are the 3 essential types of shots she recommends every professional acquire?
First, you need great action shots, but she stresses that the focus must be on the audience reaction, not the performer. You need photos of delighted, engaged, stunned people. The goal is to show the outcome of the magic. And she advises getting different versions for different markets, photos with laughing children for the family market, or high-definition shots of people in black tie for the corporate gala market.
And the practical tip she provides here for actually getting those shots is pure gold. How do you guarantee the event photographer captures the right moment?
You become proactive. At these high-end corporate events where they already have a photographer, you pull them aside and ask for a quick moment of direction. When you have audience volunteers, you prompt them. Look like I just blew your minds. That simple, pre-staged instruction guarantees you walk away with highly sellable, high-impact reaction shots that communicate your value instantly.
That requires some real stage confidence to manage both the audience and the photographer at the same time. What about the second essential shot type?
Venue shots. These are absolutely non-negotiable for scaling up. They show the performer on the kind of stage they want to be hired for. A photo of you on a well-lit gala stage in front of 800 people projects professionalism and scale. A picture on a kid's party floor in a dimly lit basement does not. She even suggests taking a loss leader gig, a free or low-cost gig just to acquire these critical visual assets. You're investing in your future bookings.
And finally, the show reel imperative. We live in a video-first world, so...
Oh, absolutely. If a client doesn't know you, they need proof. The show reel has to answer the booker's primary unspoken question: what problem are you going to solve for our event? It must showcase talent, but more importantly, it has to showcase the ideal audience reaction and the professional environment. And Ravn stresses keeping the reel under 1 minute. If a booker can't get the idea in 60 seconds, they will click away.
Okay, so before tackling the mechanics of the business, Ravn insists you have to define the why. This is the emotional core that acts as your engine. Why do you want to make this work? And what is the detailed answer to that question that will sustain you during the inevitable failures and rejections?
Yeah, and she provides a very honest assessment of her own motivation. She notes that the reason often involves running away from pain or running towards an ambition. For her, it was running away from being lonely and bullied as a child. That fear of loneliness drives her discipline. Her current mission, however, is running towards creating the feeling of wonder for the audience based on the sobering fact that most people only see one magician in their lives. She wants to ensure that single experience is powerful and memorable.
That focus elevates the transaction from just a simple gig to a genuine mission. This emotional core then translates into a grand goal. What exactly was her massive public-facing target?
Her long-term ambitious target is to host the Eurovision Song Contest.
Wow, a massive public goal. How does she ensure that focusing on something so grand, which seems almost unattainable, doesn't detract from the immediate, painful daily grind of sales and small-scale bookings?
Well, that's where the strategy of backtracking comes in. The grand goal is the endpoint, but you define the actionable steps backward. Step 1, be an excellent, recognizable TV personality. Step 2, host the Swedish national version of the contest. Step 3, make sure she's even considered for the initial job. These detailed goals, even the highly specific personal ones like wanting to be a Disney princess voice in Swedish because of her unique Southern accent, provide these micro-motivations when the business grind feels unbearable. It ensures every small task contributes to the ultimate ambition. This personal why is directly linked to entrepreneurial endurance.
And to ensure those grand goals are actually actionable, Ravn relies heavily on the SMART framework. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. But she really grounds these abstract concepts in a performer's reality.
Totally. Let's look at specific and measurable. Instead of the vague, I want to get better at card handling, the specific and measurable goal is, I want to achieve a perfect Pharaoh shuffle consistently. The measurement tracks how many times you were off and how small changes in hand angle or pressure improve that metric. It's objective tracking, it replaces emotional frustration.
Then there's achievable, challenging, but still possible. And the crucial step, relevant. This is where most creatives fail to edit their pursuits. Does this goal align with your broader mission and revenue stream?
It's the filter for time wasting. Ravn uses a great example. If your goal is to be a high-paid corporate magician doing MC work, spending a week mastering balloon twisting is likely not relevant. But spending that same week perfecting your stage presence, your microphone technique, and structuring your emceeing script is highly relevant.
And this focus on relevance prevents what she accurately calls the procrastinator extraordinaire tendencies. It stops you from doing high-effort, low-reward activities, like keeping your home spotless or rearranging your magic library, instead of doing the actual money-making activity, which is following up on leads and selling shows.
And finally, time-bound. She found that hard deadlines, like using a competition date, a specific event, or even booking a venue for a show 6 months out, are the best way to impose discipline and work effectively under pressure. The SMART framework ensures that your daily work isn't just busy work, it's actively contributing to that Eurovision-level dream.
Okay, so we've built a foundational why and the clear offer. Now we move into the actual administrative structures needed to operate as a legitimate business, not a hobby. And Ravn's advice here is typically blunt. Stop reading the book right now and write a business plan to avoid future headaches. She went all in with no structure and regretted the massive waste of time trying to backfill contracts, legal stuff, and goals later on.
The business plan serves as the core roadmap, defining every aspect of your professional trajectory. And Ravn outlines the key components. First, the business idea. What exactly do you sell? Her definition is performing magic and public speaking, specifically targeting corporate mingles, gala shows, and conferences.
Right. Then you have the vision and goals, centered on creating that feeling of wonder. Next is clients and markets. If you don't have established agents, she advises targeting the decision makers who manage corporate events. HR managers, executive assistants, and office managers for corporate shows, and maybe busy parents for the family market. The core is understanding their specific problem so you can sell the solution.
And you have to address competition. She strongly encourages looking at competitors, seeing what they do well, and practicing what she calls steal like an artist. However, she provides a very clear ethical boundary. Never steal copy or imagery from their websites. You want to be seen as a professional peer, not an antagonist, because the entertainment industry is surprisingly small.
And what about the USP, the unique selling point? How should you approach defining what makes you truly stand out?
Your USP should be a combination of several factors, stacked together until you are unique. Ravn's own USP stacks multiple attributes: being a woman in a male-dominated industry, being a certified 5-time TEDx speaker, which gives instant credibility, and offering a unique bilingual comedy and magic combination. When defining yours, you need to list 3 things that truly make you different and then weave them into your elevator pitch.
She also mentions the importance of legal structure and analysis. Her own personal reflection on this point is fascinatingly practical. She regretted legally changing her surname to her stage name, Ravn, early in her career. She wishes she had kept her original private surname, Nilsson, to maintain a layer of separation now that she's a bit famous. That's a real-world cost of branding that most beginners would just overlook.
And this is often the hardest part for creatives: budgeting and financial discipline. Ravn notes that if magic is just nice to have money, you might skip budgeting. But if you want to make a full-time, sustainable living, structured budgeting is mandatory. The goal is moving past that impulsive, ooh, money in the account lovely phase, to structured accounting that secures a steady salary, accounts for taxes, and allows for future investment.
Right, and she needed to take out a high documented salary because she had the very concrete personal goal of getting a loan to build a bigger house. This is a crucial detail. Your business performance has to support your life goals. She notes her own financial scope. Her income from shows, MC gigs, and affiliate deals averaged about $17,000 per month in 2023.
That financial achievement is huge, especially when you contrast it with her starting fee 10 years ago, which was just $150. Today, her professional services start at $2,500 and can range up to $9,000 per service. This trajectory just underscores the necessity of annual price increases based on skill, social proof, and market demand. You can't reach $17,000 a month doing $150 gigs.
Which brings us to investment priorities. Where should a performer always put their money first, especially when funds are tight?
Always. Always prioritize spending on show reels and social proof, high-quality videos, polished photos, verifiable testimonials over buying a new, shiny trick or a rare book. The former generates future income by closing high-value deals. The latter only feeds that internal procrastination engine. You have to invest in the visibility of the product, not the perfection of the trick.
So for the self-employed entrepreneur, time management isn't a suggestion, it's success management. Ravn's core prioritization rule is so simple, but it's so effective, it just cuts through all the busy work.
The simple question she asks herself is, what money-making activity can I do right now? And that immediately forces a focus on tasks that lead to a contract or a referral, and it filters out everything else.
She implements time blocking, practically. Scheduled practice time, which is not allowed to bleed into selling time. Controlled email habits checking only 4 times a day to avoid constant distraction. And dedicated days for major tasks like filming, writing, or rehearsing. The goal is to maximize productivity by focusing deeply on one high-value task at a time.
In terms of digital tools, the calendar system is non-negotiable, using Google Calendar with different colors for different tasks. But the real structural game changer she highlights, which she says just revolutionized her business, is Calendly.
She claims there is pre-Calendly life and post-Calendly life. It sounds like such a small thing, but for someone who is constantly trying to manage incoming leads and scheduling, why is Calendly so transformative?
Because it eliminates all the administrative friction that leads to losing a lead. You send a single link, and Calendly automatically handles the booking, checks your availability, sends reminders, generates the Zoom link, and adds it to your calendar, all without the back-and-forth emails. This is so crucial because every single email exchange introduces a point where the prospect can lose interest or just forget to reply. Calendly closes that gap instantly.
And looking ahead, she advocates for using AI. How does she integrate tools like ChatGPT into her workflow without outsourcing her creative voice?
She uses it primarily for solving writer's block and optimizing for search engines, not for writing the final script. She relies on it for idea generation, particularly for blog subheadings, LinkedIn content strategies, and coming up with effective, scroll-stopping headlines. She gave examples like, "Unlock the secret to business success, essential advice for entertainers," or "Attention entertainers, transform your career with these proven business tips." Using AI as a marketing copy assistant is a massive time saver.
Okay, let's talk about the website.
Right. The website, Ravn stresses, is the cornerstone. It's your 2047 sales agent. Her own site required a significant investment, around $6,000 to design initially, plus $2,500 for professional photos, and an ongoing budget of about $1,500 a month for Google Ads. That investment level shows the seriousness required for full-time, high-level corporate work.
That ad budget is substantial. Is that level of investment necessary for every performer, or does it reflect her specific goal of international high-end corporate booking?
It definitely reflects the high competition in her niche. For a local performer, the budget might be smaller, but the underlying principle remains the same. The website must look professional, it must be fast, and it has to focus on consistency with new content and testimonials for strong SEO. The test she gives the listener is brutal but necessary. Would you book you?
And she advises using Google Business. Why is this critical for local artists?
Because it controls your local search results, your presence on maps, and in the dedicated business section. When a local client searches "magician near me," if your Google business profile is optimized with accurate hours, great photos, and fresh reviews, you immediately beat competitors who are just relying on an old website. It's high-leverage, low-cost marketing.
For email management, she used MailChimp, and the free version worked for 8 years, as long as she segmented her list to communicate relevant content. She also relies on Grammarly, especially since English is her second language, to maintain a highly professional standard.
And organizationally, she prefers simplicity over complexity. She specifically contrasts these complex CRM tools with her reliance on Dropbox and Excel. Her strategy is to structure folders meticulously by date and client name, for example, 20-24011 Smart Optic Notes, Contracts, and Sheets. This allows her to quickly retrieve contracts, notes, and pricing for repeat clients, saving time and stress.
And finally, for content creation, she highlights Canva. For someone who isn't a professional graphic designer, how does Canva help a performer?
She calls it the idiot-proof Photoshop tool. It allows performers to quickly create professional digital assets, YouTube thumbnails, social media graphics, logos, email signatures, without hiring a designer for every small task. She advises shifting marketing spend away from outdated, easily discarded paper brochures and into digital assets created with Canva, where people actually consume content today.
All right, now we get tactical. Part 3 is all about ensuring the performer structures their services to maximize revenue and avoid those common pricing pitfalls.
And the pricing trap is worth repeating. The danger of being the second cheapest in the market. That position holds no market value, and it just signals inferiority. Ravn's fee increase over 10 years illustrates the power of professionalism and market demand.
Absolutely. The numbers are striking. Her starting walk-around fee went from $150 for 1 hour to a starting fee of $2,500. Her stage show jumped from $300 to $3,000, and her MC fee now starts at $4,500.
Yeah, and this exponential growth isn't arbitrary. It's built on consistent execution, increased authority, like from her TEDx talks, and professional packaging. The core principle remains: avoid doing things for free. If payment is genuinely impossible, negotiate a high-value exchange, but never devalue your time by working for nothing.
Whether it's mingling magic or a sit-down show, Ravn insists it must be treated as a structured show with a beginning, middle, and end, not just a random collection of tricks. So how did she structure a 20-minute close-up sit-down show for maximum impact?
She treats it narratively. She starts with a simple visual opening, like the jumping rubber band, which allows her to share a quick, engaging story about how she got into magic. The opening is the hook. She then uses a funny conversational introduction like, "My grandfather was a magician and my dad was a politician, so lying on the job was always encouraged." The core set then includes technically proficient routines like a poker routine and an ambitious card routine, with a narrative breather thrown in, like the story about performing during her twins' labor, to connect emotionally, and then she finishes with a strong, hands-on, memorable finale.
That structure ensures emotional connection before the technical dazzle. For walk-around or mingling magic, where the performer is exposed to 360-degree angles and noise, the approach must change.
Yes, the focus shifts to group management and rotation. She suggests using 3 to 4 effects per group and rotating the sets when moving to a new group, especially if people from the previous group might be watching from a distance. And the crucial strategic advice is to make the audience the star. If a spectator mentions they tried magic as a kid, offer them the chance to try a trick using your props. They look stellar, and you look amazing for facilitating their moment of glory.
And the single non-negotiable rule she highlights for corporate professionalism.
Never use the sponge dong in a formal setting, such as a corporate party. That is the line, she says, between being a professional and an amateur. You have to know your audience and the required level of formality.
Right.
So creating a stage show, especially for a new market or a new length, can be daunting. Ravn's favorite structural hack uses simple tools to impose order.
The Post-its on the wall hack. How does she implement this editing strategy?
She lists every single potential element, every trick, every story, every music cue on individual Post-its. Then she grades them. A for absolute best, B for good filler, or C for weak. Needs work, risks failure. And the crucial step is to eliminate the C's immediately. She even used this hack for planning the content of this book. It forces rapid editing and focusing on your strengths.
And she provides clear show-length guidelines tailored to the market, which is essential for any performer listening.
Oh, yeah. Corporate shows are typically 20, 30, or 45 minutes, with 25 minutes being her preferred length for a post-dinner slot. It's long enough to be memorable, but short enough to fit tightly into a program. Cruises require extensive material demanding two completely different 45-minute shows, sometimes supplemented by a shorter 20-minute variety act. Theater shows run longer, 75 to 90 minutes, usually with an intermission. And TEDx talks, which are so critical for authority, must be a max of 18 minutes, but you should really aim for 15.
What about customization? When a client asks for personalized content, how does a professional handle that without compromising the quality of the show?
She handles it strategically. She has 2 pre-planned slots in her show where she can easily incorporate small client messages or special requests for free, as long as they don't impact the overall flow. However, if the personalization requires significant development time, writing new jokes, sourcing props, deviating from the tight core show, she charges an extra $500. This strategy ensures she's compensated for the creative labor and that the quality of her core product doesn't suffer from under-rehearsed changes.
Let's look at 2 specific revenue streams. Cruise gigs, or G&AT as they're called, are often romanticized. What is the reality of that lifestyle?
The benefits are compelling. Consistent good money for 6 to 9 months, international travel, and a unique environment where you can walk around anonymously until the show and then immediately become a rock star afterward. The trade-off is the high material demand. You need those 2 separate full 45-minute shows, often back-to-back, catering to different international audiences.
And while cruise work provides steady income, Ravn identifies the role of emcee, or Toastmaster, as the favorite of all low-hanging fruits for the corporate market. Why is this a better strategic choice for long-term growth than just being a short-slot stage performer?
Because it shifts your role from being a hired act to being the glue of the event. It establishes a deep, sustained rapport with the audience throughout the night. It also provides invaluable practice in improvisation, quick thinking, and audience management skills that enhance your core stage performance far more than simply practicing another card move. It's financially rewarding because clients prefer one professional who can manage the entire flow, and it's creatively fulfilling because you weave your persona into the event's structure.
And finally, the advice derived from painful experience, the lost luggage show. For anyone who travels regularly, this is terrifyingly relevant.
Having lost luggage 3 times, her core advice is absolute. Use AirTags to track your bags, and critically, keep all essential show props, cue sheets, and music on a redundant USB drive in your carry-on or backpack. You need a contingency show, a reliable, simple routine that you can perform, even if your checked bag is stuck in another country. This is just risk management for the professional performer.
Okay, we've perfected the product and the pricing. Now it's time to ensure that the people who can afford us actually know we exist. Ravn's approach to social media is organized, intentional, and acknowledges the brutal reality of the attention economy.
Right. She structures her digital life into A and B priorities. A priorities, where she posts daily or weekly with specific intent, include Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. B priorities, for when she has extra time, are things like newsletters and LinkedIn. But the non-negotiable requirement is consistency across all platforms and adapting content to the platform's preferred format.
This brings us to the crucial pivot for corporate entertainers, the LinkedIn mandate. She challenges the listener directly. If you are not making money on visual platforms like Instagram, why are you spending time there instead of connecting with executive decision makers on LinkedIn?
It's a great question. LinkedIn is where the decision makers, HR managers, executive assistants, event planners, CEOs, they live and conduct business there. It's not a visual entertainment platform, it's a professional network. Your LinkedIn profile has to look like a second website. Professional headshot, a captivating headline that defines your USP, an extensive use of the featured section to pin your best show reels, TEDx talks, and high-level testimonials. It's about establishing industry leadership, not just seeking likes.
And Raven describes Instagram's success using the spaghetti analogy. If the content sticks to the wall, meaning it gets comments, shares, or saves, it's successful. If it just generates high likes but no shares, it's not truly valuable. We need to focus on content that drives utility and sharing.
Totally. And she provides a very actionable 7-day Instagram strategy to maintain focus. This involves defining the overall content strategy, meticulously optimizing the profile with keywords, planning content variety, actively engaging with the community, responding to every comment, not just posting and ghosting mastering stories, using hashtags strategically, and finally, analyzing and adjusting content based on performance data.
The devil is in the details, and one great tactical tip she provides is using the collaboration feature. Why is that so effective for growth?
It's an instant leverage tool. By using the collaboration feature, your content automatically shows up on the feeds of multiple partners, fellow entertainers, photographers, or clients, immediately leveraging their audience bases. This significantly boosts visibility without paying for ads, provided you partner with accounts whose audience aligns with your professional goals.
Now, what about YouTube?
YouTube is positioned as the most serious platform, a massive stage for long-form content. It is the ideal location for your primary long-form show reel, and it's a platform strategically designed for monetization through ads, channel memberships, and affiliate sponsorships.
But the bar for entry on YouTube is extremely high now. What does Raven stress about production value?
She stresses that you need to compete with professional broadcasters. This requires investing in great audio and video using a 4K camera and a proper microphone to ensure viewers don't click away due to poor production quality. And she notes that how-to videos are key search terms that help channels grow organically because they provide clear, searchable value.
And the content strategy on YouTube can often feed the short-form content needs of other platforms. What content pillars does she suggest for a magic-focused YouTube presence?
She suggests 3 pillars: sharing magic theory, so the science or psychology behind effects, interviewing other highly creative people, not just magicians, about creativity or stage presence, or educating listeners about the history and cultural significance of entertainment. Snippets from these longer, high-value videos can then be repurposed into quick, easily consumed reels or carousel posts across her other channels, maximizing the return on that long-form content investment.
Okay, content creation is a constant battle against the blank page. Raven reveals her favorite tool for solving this problem, the mind-reading tool.
Yes, this is answerthepublic.com. For the listener struggling to figure out what their audience actually wants to read or watch, how does this tool generate usable content ideas?
It's incredible. By typing in a core keyword, say corporate magician or event emcee, the tool generates these visualizations of search data. It pulls the exact questions, prepositions, and comparisons people are typing into search engines worldwide. It literally tells you what people are confused about or what solutions they're actively seeking.
It's invaluable. It shifts your content strategy from guesswork to direct audience response. If you know that your ideal customer is searching for corporate magician versus stand-up comedian for holiday party, you can write a specific blog post or shoot a video directly answering that question, saving countless hours on brainstorming. The free version allows 3 daily searches, which is more than enough to get started.
All right, we now arrive at the ultimate differentiator, sales mastery. Raven contrasts the passive magician's journey, which is, I'm great, people will book me, with the active, structured entrepreneur's journey, identifying a need, reaching out, and selling the solution.
You have to actively sell the solution to their problem, and the mindset shift required is significant. Raven advises selling the feeling and the adventure that comes with the experience rather than just the product features. It's like the difference between Red Bull selling a sugary drink versus selling energy and extreme sports experiences.
How does that translate to a performance pitch?
It means you are selling the solution to a boring event, or poor engagement, or a forgettable conference, not just a list of tricks. You emphasize how the audience will feel afterwards, how the event will be talked about for weeks, and the resulting success of the HR manager who hired you. And this selling process absolutely requires a professional, unforgettable show reel. It must be mandatory, short, showcase only the absolute best parts, and feature social proof. If you're relying solely on word of mouth without video proof, you will only capture the low end of the market.
So Raven breaks down the 7-step sales process, which is often intimidating for creatives, into a clear, manageable textbook structure.
Right. Steps 1 and 2 cover prospecting and preparation. Prospecting involves qualifying, identifying people who not only need the service, but who can genuinely afford the price. Preparation means a deep research into their needs and tailoring the presentation, which immediately sets you apart from competitors who just reply with a generic fee.
And step 3 is the approach. She suggests a few methods, but what about her favored cold email approach? Can you break down the elements of her successful cold email template?
It has to be personalized, referencing something specific about their company or their role. It has to establish social proof quickly by mentioning notable clients that match the prospect's market, like, I recently performed for competitor X and helped them achieve benefit Y. And it must have a clear, low-friction call to action, like visiting your website or scheduling a Calendly call. The goal is connection and proof, not a hard sell.
The most challenging and perhaps most underrated step is step 5, handling objections. This is where most aspiring salespeople just give up.
Exactly. Ravn cites the crucial statistic. 80% of sales require at least 5 follow-ups to convert. This statistic fundamentally changes the game. If you get a no, it almost always means not now, or not this offer, or I need more information. Successfully addressing those concerns, maintaining persistence without annoyance, and following up 5 times is what separates the great salespeople from everyone else.
Step 6 is closing. What effective techniques does she use to guide the client across the finish line?
She uses assumptive closing techniques. The alternative, like will you be paying in full or in parts, assumes the sale is already done. She also uses the extra inducement, like offering a free 5-15 minutes of an extra service, which is how she strategically started doing emceeing. And finally, standing room only, which creates genuine urgency, though she cautions this technique must be used carefully as it can sometimes alienate clients.
So what about networking?
Your network is your net worth. This is the foundation of long-term sustainability. The fundamental goal is simple. Let everyone in your orbit know that you trade magic and speaking for money. You have to actively go out, meet people, present your offer professionally, and nurture those conversations.
She provides a staggering networking anecdote here, a personal success story that illustrates the exponential return on investment for professional networking.
It's incredible. She landed a lucrative partnership that increased her yearly income by an astonishing 400% after performing at a networking event. But the truly memorable side note is that she secured a sponsored Mini Cooper through the same networking, despite not even having a driver's license at the time. These results just illustrate the power of being present, making a memorable pitch, and professional follow-up.
And that leads directly to establishing niche authority, which is where the TEDx strategy comes in. She deliberately set a goal of securing 3 TEDx talks by age 30 and ended up with 5 by age 31.
This is such a high-leverage strategy that pays dividends long after the talk is over. Although TEDx does not pay a fee, the resulting high-quality video asset and the title 5-time TEDx speaker build immense trust and credibility. For a corporate client looking to book entertainment for a major conference, that status tells them immediately that she is a safe bet, a highly vetted professional who commands respect and stage authority, making that $4,500 MT fee easy to swallow.
So when do you start building a team? This is often a terrifying expense for a growing solopreneur.
Ravn's advice is counterintuitive to that financial fear. Hire as soon as you can afford to, because the key decision isn't financial, it's an attention and time decision. You hire to buy back your time and energy so you can focus only on the high-value, money-making activity.
She scaled significantly for a national tour, requiring a team of 16 people. But scaling doesn't mean hiring full-time staff immediately.
Not at all. It means finding freelancers or interns for specific tasks that drain your time or that you just hate doing. Examples include outsourcing video editing on Fiverr, hiring a Google Ads expert to manage that complicated monthly budget, or getting a dedicated bookkeeper. The goal is to offload the necessary administrative and technical tasks so the entrepreneur, the high-value seller and performer, can focus on generating the highest revenue possible.
Okay, so let's bring this deep dive together. The business side of show business confirms that sustained professional success isn't about magical secrets or technical complexity. It's about business structure and persistence.
Yeah, we covered the strategic importance of clear specialized offers, the necessity of setting up a robust digital toolkit from Calendly for automated scheduling to Canva for quick professional content creation, and the absolute persistence required in the sales process. You have to remember that 80% of sales require at least 5 follow-ups.
And crucially, we learned that running a business is a lifestyle choice that requires managing expectations based on the industry's annual cycle. You have to financially and mentally endure the slow seasons of January and February to fully capitalize on the incredibly lucrative high seasons leading up to the holiday rush in December. That knowledge is just power for financial planning.
The journey requires blood, sweat, and tears, but the results, as Raven demonstrates, can be life-changing.
And here's where it gets really interesting and a final thought for you to chew on that connects all these ideas. Raven noted that the shortest but most lucrative chapter in her book was dedicated to adding value. The true secret to becoming a trusted, reliable, high-paid partner isn't just delivering a perfect show, it's being willing to over-deliver and offer services, like hosting the event as the MC, at the same price you quoted for just the show fee.
Right.
Becoming that trusted partner, the indispensable glue of the event, is the fastest way to increase your perceived value, secure repeat bookings, and open the door to passive income streams like digital courses, affiliate marketing, and selling high-quality merch. And finally, don't forget the power of celebration. Raven keeps champagne bottles in her fridge with goals written on them, ready to celebrate big and small wins. It's not just about the money in the account, it's the act of acknowledging that you set a clear, smart goal, and you either achieved it or were even just considered for that amazing event. The journey is absolutely worth it. Don't quit too soon.
Apply this knowledge, use the SMART framework to structure your next move, and go create your own thriving business. We'll see you on the next deep dive.